Hi, welcome to the 5th episode of Ask Pro Life. I'm Phil, I make videos for Students for Life.
I'm Tina, I'm the Executive Vice President. I make sure things run and that we have a national conference every year.
Yes. So the topic of the week this week is how to not be weird at the Thanksgiving table.
Yes, DBW, don't be weird.
Boom, boom, boom.
DBW, something like that.
Somewhere like that, right?
So don't do it. All right, so Thanksgiving is a time to come together and thanks. It's also a time when your family's going to talk about a lot of different things like politics, current news and events. And so there are appropriate ways to talk about abortion and inappropriate ways to talk about abortion. So we're going to kind of act out some of those things so you can get an idea of why maybe some ways aren't as good as others.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we have our Thanksgiving meal here. My vegetables are still
Thanksgiving
frozen.
it up. This cranberry sauce is delicious.
It is. But do you know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of the blood on our hands. Because every day in the United States, 3,000 babies are dying from abortion. And if we don't stand up and do something about it, every single one of us, this is the blood that's on our hands.
Who invited this one? So I want to talk about some of the better and more appropriate ways to talk about your work during the Thanksgiving dinner table.
Meal. With your family.
Yeah. So, the presidential candidates this year. So, some of the, there's a lot of them. Who are you going for this year?
Well, to be honest, there's one issue that matters to me the most. Because I feel like if you can't honor the principle of protecting life, then you really just can't do anything else for our country. Because without life, there are no other rights. And so for me, I really look towards which candidate is going to protect all life and which is the pro-life candidate.
Well said. This turkey's delicious. I wonder how many turkeys they sell in America every year.
I don't know the answer to that question, but what I do know is that they sell 3,000 abortions every day in our country. That's 3,000 lives lost through abortion. Who cares about the turkeys? What about the babies, Phil?
I'm gonna eat it over there.
It's Thanksgiving. Let's go around the table and talk about that thing you're really thankful for this year.
Well, I'm thankful for the incredible number of diapers that our student group has raised to help pregnant mothers in need. I mean, we may not know who these mothers are, but someone out there is going to be a very, very happy woman this year.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know you did that, Phil.
Bing!
Wow, so how much did the turkey cost this year for Thanksgiving?
Well, I don't know, but did you know that Planned Parenthood sells baby parts? Like baby parts for money. What are you thankful for, Tina?
This year, I'm really thankful that we had this tabling event on campus. And we had, it was Pregnant on Campus, and we had just information up about the local pregnancy resource center. And this girl came to the table because she just found out she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And she was seriously considering having an abortion. And once she saw the materials, we were able to call the Crisis Pregnancy Center and get her an ultrasound that day.
Nice.
And so she decided that she was going to not have an abortion. And the Pregnancy Resource Center gave her all kinds of materials and helped her find a good doctor. And our student group is going to throw a baby shower for her.
Nice.
Yeah, we're really excited that we could help her
Happy
like that.
news.
Yeah. Wow, so you bought a 7-pound turkey this year for Thanksgiving, huh?
You know what that reminds me of? Babies can be up to 7 pounds when they decide to abort them in America.
I don't know what that has to do with turkeys.
So Tina, nice to see you at the table this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is that you're studying in college?
Well, right now I'm studying psychology.
That's fun. And are you into any extracurriculars?
Well, we have a Students for Life group on my campus.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Yeah. Well, Students for Life is it's a national organization, but we have a club on our campus that involves itself in, talking to people about the life issue letting them know about like the value of humanity and human beings, and then helping pregnant and parenting students choose life.
Wow.
Letting girls know that they can be empowered and equipped and resourced so that they don't have to choose between their education and their child, but that it might be hard, but they can do both.
Wow, that's good work.
Thanks. All right, so that concludes our what to do or not to do at the Thanksgiving table.
Q&A! So we've been getting a lot of questions from a study called from the Texas Policy Evaluation Project, saying that there are up to 100,000 to 240,000 women a year that are now self-inducing their abortions because of pro-life legislation that has passed for Texas. So we decided to take a look at this report and see exactly where they came up with these numbers. So now this report says a couple of things here. It says that even prior to these pro-life bills coming out, Texas shares a border with Mexico, where misoprostol, a drug that can effectively cause an early abortion, is often available in pharmacies without a prescription.
So crazy.
So that means that even prior to pro-life bills, there were already some women who were self-inducing their abortions. So now we took at what questions were actually asked during for this poll, and I quote: "First, we asked each respondent whether she thought her best friend had ever attempted to end a pregnancy on her own without medical assistance." So they asked if their best friend. So basically, the results of this research shouldn't be X number of women are self-inducing their abortions. It's X number of women think that their best friends are self-inducing their abortions. And I mean, it just comes down to like just the hearsay nature of this report. So I again, links in the description below. I urge you guys to check this out yourself. We might go more in depth on this if you guys ask for it in the future. But as for now, this report definitely not conclusive. Numbers are way inflated because of the hearsay nature of their questions. So, all right. Yeah.
So my question that I got kind of goes into that, which is, I'm pro-life, but I don't want to see abortion outlawed because of the risk of back alley abortions and the women who would die through back alley abortions. So, our good friends at the Radiance Foundation actually did a little project, I guess you call it. It's called Hang Up the Hangers. Hang Up the Hangers. And there's a really great quote where basically he just goes through and debunks the myth about back alley abortions, women using hangers and dying. And here's what, and this is a quote from Planned Parenthood Federation's medical director. This is from 1959. So this is what she said in 1959. This is Dr. Mary Calderon. "Abortion is no longer a dangerous procedure. 90% of all illegal abortions are presently being done by physicians." So they went on to say that they were being done well by physicians. And then she also said in 1957 there were only 260 deaths in the whole country attributed to abortions of any kind. Call them what you will, abortionists or anything else, they are still physicians. They must do a pretty good job if the death rate is as low as it is. So that was 1957. That's Planned Parenthood's own medical director, who's saying that 90% of the back alley abortions were being done by physicians, and of all the deaths in the whole country attributed to abortions of any kind. Any kind. That means self-induced at the hands of a physician. There were only 260 deaths. So, you hear the myth of, it was 10,000 women. Well, that was all brought up in 1973 during the Roe v. Wade trials. They brought Dr. Bernard Nathanson in. He was one of the co-founders of NARAL. And he wrote a book. He was like the leading abortionist at the time, and he actually left the abortion industry, became convicted that human life was valuable and that he should no longer perform abortions. And he wrote a book called One by Love. And, oh, sorry, that's not his book. Let me say that again. He wrote a book called Confessions of an Ex-Abortionist. This was in 1997. And in it, he admits that abortion rights advocates fabricated the number of women dying from back alley and wire hanger abortions. They used a figure of 10,000, and he said that they purposefully chose that number so that there would be public outrage. They wanted to, shift public opinion about abortion. And he said it was actually closer to 250 at that time. And that's due to, again, that's the same situation as we're dealing with in 1957. It was 250 abortion-related deaths of abortion of any kind, meaning physician or a self-induced abortion. And the actual figure in 1972 for deaths from illegal abortion was 39, according to Centers for Disease Control.
So not that many.
No, and not that it makes it. Yeah. Not that it means that it wouldn't happen, but that it wouldn't happen to the degree at which it's been reported it would.
Right.
So yes, it's sad, and it obviously yes, there are people that do all kinds of things to themselves, self-induce all kinds of things and hurt themselves. And
did you know at some point on eBay they were selling at-home gastric bypass procedure kits?
Doesn't surprise me. You can find anything on the internet.
Can you imagine that? Like,
maybe. Well, you could hire me. I'll watch the YouTube video. Maybe I'll do it for you. Another question that came up was, are there any long-term health effects from surgical abortion? And so, yes, there are long-term effects. One of the primary ones that have been studied is subsequent preterm birth. And so one of the things that happens is that when you have an abortion, you're forcibly entering the cervix, and that weakens that organ. And so what happens is that when a woman later gets pregnant, it is weak. And so it has a harder time holding in the baby, especially as the baby gets bigger and bigger. So the more abortions you have, the more likely you are to have preterm birth. Another one is breast cancer. This is a really difficult one because you hear a lot of studies that debunk the idea that there's a link between abortion and breast cancer. So you have to really go to the right sources and look at how, so there's Abortion Breast Cancer Link is an organization, and they go through the different studies and show, it's very fascinating because the American Cancer Society, they don't want people to know that there's a link between abortion and breast cancer. And so they do these studies very specifically in order to create an environment that will give them the answer that they want to have. One of the things that they did to kind of, like I said, create this environment is they interviewed and studied women who were a year out from their abortion. Oh. And a year out isn't enough time for the breast cancer side effect to come forward. If they were studying postmenopausal women who were further out, they would have gotten different results. But Dr. Angela Lanfranchi is on top of this, and she goes through that organization, Abortion Breast Cancer Link, and shows how you debunk some of these studies that have come out. And she shows you good studies. So abortion increases your risk of breast cancer. And then another big one is depression. And so not like depression, like I'm sad, but clinical depression. Right. They found almost such a huge risk, especially in suicide specifically, of women who were post-abortive, that depression is a huge issue for post-abortive women. And again, it's hard because some of these things don't always happen immediately. Right. And I think that's why, I have a friend who had an abortion, she's not depressed. It might not be the next year. It might be 5 years. It might be when she gets pregnant with a wanted child that things start clicking. So some of these things aren't immediate, like subsequent preterm birth. That might not be for 5 more years down the road when you're married or whatever, in a situation where you are having a wanted child and, can't keep that baby in you because you've damaged your cervix.
Because this is a Thanksgiving episode, we're only going to take 3 questions this week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe. If the button below is red, please click it. Don't forget to subscribe to our Twitters and check back next week for the next episode of As Per Life.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner. Drive safe.
Bye. They can be detained until a forensic vagina investigator can arrive.
Excuse me, I'm a forensic vagina investigator.
Check my badge here on the forensic vagina.